Hello my dear friends, I am Patrick God, yes this is really my last name, and you asked me a lot actually about SignalR. So how do you implement SignalR with .NET 6, meaning we're using WebSockets and we build a sample chat application. I used the code, a little of the code of the official documentation of Microsoft. There is an example, so if you just want to read the text and use the code there, then stop the video, go to the documentation of Microsoft please, and then build your own chat. But maybe it makes sense and you will be rewarded if you stick with me here, because we will make this chat a little bit better. We will, as you can see right, maybe here or here, I don't know, you can see that we will add the usernames, you can see who joined the party, who left the party, who said something, and so on. And we will also use a text area instead of an unordered list, and then add list items to the chat messages. This is not what we really want with the chat. I want an old school IRC chat. If you are as old as me, then maybe you know what I'm talking about, and if not, then well, then not. Anyways, SignalR, Blazor WebAssembly, .NET 6, this is what we're going to do now. And if you learned something, I would really appreciate it if you click the like button and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon. Thank you so much for that. Additionally, maybe you want to have a look at my newsletter. I promise I won't spam you. I just send an email once a week at most, and with that you get videos like this one here earlier in your inbox. You get more information and also early access to upcoming online courses, and sometimes discounts of course. But the course that is coming soon, let's say, is a really big one where I want to focus on getting a job in the .NET 6 and Blazor world. So everything regarding these technologies, and also interview questions, Scrum, maybe a bit DevOps, so stuff like that. And if you want to be the first to know what is going on there with this course and maybe see that course long before others can, check out the newsletter please. And last not least, as always guys, thank you so much for the coffee. As you will see in the tutorial, I was a bit confused, so maybe I just need more coffee and then these tutorials will be a bit better. Alright, long story short, enjoy the tutorial. Alright, here we are, Visual Studio 2022. We create a new project and we want to create a Blazor WebAssembly application, of course, since we want to build a chat with SignalR and Blazor WebAssembly. Maybe you've got it in your recent project templates, or just choose it here in the list of templates, or of course you can search for it. I think you know this already. We call this thing Blazor Chat SignalR maybe. And then this is important now, we select ASP.NET Core hosted, because with that we get a server project as well where we will put our SignalR logic. And I can already tell you that this thing is then called a SignalR Hub. This is not a service or a controller. Maybe you know this already from a web API implementation. Check out my tutorials maybe. Here we are going to build a hub. But before we start with that, real quick, we add the SignalR NuGet package to our client. So right click the Blazor Chat SignalR client project, please, and then manage NuGet packages. Make sure to select the browse tab. And now let's just enter SignalR maybe. And then we should find, where is it? Microsoft ASP.NET Core SignalR, but I'm actually looking for SignalR and then client. So let's also enter the client term here. That's the one. Microsoft ASP.NET Core SignalR client. That's the one we want to install for our Blazor WebAssembly client. Click OK. I accept. And this should be it. Okay, and now to the server project. Typical way to do this is we right click and add a new folder, and this thing now is called hubs because we want to create a SignalR hub. Here again, if you are used to implement web APIs using controllers, for instance, or then services as a better practice, and then inject these services in the controllers. By the way, there is a construction site next to my apartment. I hope you do not hear this. Otherwise, I'm really sorry about that. Apologies for that. Now we won't inject any services like you can see here in the other tutorials. We have a controller, then inject a service. For that, we would then create a services folder, but now it's a SignalR hub, so a hubs folder. Quite simple, I guess. And in here now we create a new file. So add a new class, and we call this a thing already Chat Hub. That's it. All right, and now that's important. This one inherits from Hub, and we use Control and period to see the quick fix menu now, and we want to add the reference to Microsoft ASP.NET Core SignalR. That's it already. Now we've got our SignalR Hub, and now the important thing here is we want to be able to send messages to all the users, all the clients that are connected to that hub. And to be able to do that, we just write a method called sendMessage, for instance. So public async task, we call this method sendMessage. And now you can, in essence, add whatever you want to add. For instance, if you just want to send a message, so any string for our chat, in particular, we just enter message, but maybe we can also add a username. So string user is something we want to add as well. Now this is parts of that are from the official Microsoft documentation. So don't get me wrong, not everything you see here is invented by me, of course, but I will change the chat a little bit, made it a bit better, I think. So maybe you still want to stick with me here. Okay, and now in here, we have an object called clients. Now this is from SignalR from the hub, right? So, and here we can say to all the clients, we want to send something, send async. IntelliCode already knows what I want to do. And we send the user and the message as well as another string. And this string then is used to identify this message on the client. So the typical way is something like receive message. And then on the client, we will see this in a minute, we listen to a hub event that is called receive message. So this is no convention, nothing like that. We could totally enter something else like get that message dude. Why not? I like that. So let's stick with that. And this is everything we need so far, all right? So if you just want to send messages, you do not want to react to connections. So when a user connects to the hub or disconnects, anything like that, this is everything you need. Crazy, right? Still, we can already add something else. So as I just said on a connection, when a user connects, there is a method we can override. So public override, almost override async task, and then on, or I think there was it already, on connected async. So when a user connects to our hub here, we can of course call base on connected async and also wait send message, and then something like no user here, but user connected. All right. And with that, then every client that is connected to our chat will see when another user connected. Now, what I wanted to change here is I also wanted to send the username, for instance, to the client, but we do not really have a username with all these client objects. We have a connection ID, and we will use this connection ID then to also store a username, but this is something for later. The next thing I now have to add is we have to register the SignalR service, and we can also add a response compression. This is not necessary, but as mentioned in the documentations, they do this, so why not do this too? So we go to the program CS, and now here with builder services, not configuration, services, we just add SignalR. That's it already. And now regarding the compression, we write builder services and then add response compression, and this thing gets some options. So options, and in here now we say options MIME types response compression defaults, and then MIME types concat new, And here we enter the string, not in parentheses, in curly braces actually, application, and then octet stream. I think that's it. Let's see, here's the dot missing. Okay, maybe we can format this a little bit. So we've got, and I just removed this, nice. What happened here? Options, MIME types, response defaults. Okay, now I think now that's correct. Okay, and after that we also add the middleware, so app use and then a response compression. Okay, so again, this stuff not really necessary but recommended in the docs, so why not use it as well. But what you really have to do is we have to add the endpoint to our chat, and we do this down here. So this is really important. App and then map hub and then our type, that would be the chat hub, and this is in our hubs namespace. And in here now we give this thing a route, for instance, / and then chat hub. Okay, so this thing is really important because with that then we are able to connect to our chat hub from the client. And with that the server side is done for now. As I already mentioned, I want to improve this later, meaning I want to see the actual name of the user that joined the chat. And I also want to see when a user leaves the chat, so on disconnect, we want to display a message. But again, this is done later. Now, the next step is to actually save this, and then we go to the client. All right, and on the client now, we add a AddRazor component code in essence. We do not really add a new component. We could do that, of course, just call it then chat, for instance, and make this a shared component and then use it in the pages folder here in some page, for instance. Or what we can do is we just modify this page here already. So in the index page, let's first write some code. So we remove this. All right, and then we add the code block here. And now we need some stuff. First is the hub connection. So private hub connection, this can be null. We call this hub connection. All right. Then next we add our messages. What do I mean by that? So we have a string. Let's also use it as a private string. Call this messages. First, this is an empty string. Now what I want to do with that is I want to display a text area. Again, this is different to the example of the Microsoft documentation. There they just add new list items to an unordered list, but this does not really look like a real chat. And what I wanted to do was use a text area here. And now this text area, well, the value of this text area is a string. These are the messages, and this is where we store these messages in essence. So this will be a really big string in the end, maybe when you have a long chat session with someone. So this is where we store our messages. And the next things, I think this is clear. We've got a username, which is an empty string at first. And then we have the current message the user entered in a text field, for instance. Okay, now the more interesting stuff, we want to connect to our SignalR Hub. So we write another method, private async task, call this connect. All right, and now in here we say regarding the hub connection, this is a new hub connection builder. And now in here we say with URL, because we need the complete URL to our chat hub, and we can use the navigation manager of Blazor for that. So let's inject this one real quick. add inject navigation manager. And now Visual Studio recognized that it does not know what this thing is, so we add the using for Microsoft ASP.NET Core SignalR client. Or what we can also do, of course, is we add it here to our imports AddRazor file. There we are, and now the index also knows what this stuff is. And now regarding the navigation manager here, we say to absolute URI, and in here now we enter our endpoint, Chat Hub, right? This thing we entered here in the program CS of our server project, Map Hub, Chat Hub is the URL, and here you see this again. And now we say build, and this should be it then. With that we get our hub connection, and with that we connect to the hub. Well, this is not totally right. We also have to call a start async method, but with that we will then call, in essence, or this method here is then called the onConnected async. So just keep that in mind. Regarding this hub connection now, before we actually start it, right, we can say await hub connection start async. This is what I forgot a second ago. So with that we connect, but we also want to listen to the messages that are sent, right? So we have to add this listener here, and we do that with hub connection on, and then this is what we expect to strings. And then we want to listen to the name of that message. Remember, default way is to call this receive message, but you can enter whatever you want. So for instance, we just enter get that message dude, and then in here we add a method with a lambda expression. So user and message are the strings we expect, and with that we also add some logic here, and we say that our actual message, then we encode it a bit. We say this thing now looks like that. This is actually a little function. If the username is null or empty, then we add this thing here, and otherwise what I want to do is I want to display the user and then a colon, and then we add the actual message. Okay, I hope this makes sense. So if we see a user, or we get a username and a message, then we display user colon and then the message. And if the username is null or empty, and this happens actually when a user connects, then we only want to display the message, which is then user connected, right? Otherwise, we would see an empty space and a colon and then the message, and this is, well, this does not look pretty nice. Okay, so with that, we've got our, let's say, encoded message, and then we add this to all our messages for the text area, and also add a new line with that. And now the last thing that is important, since we are using Blazor here, we have to tell our component that something has changed, so please re-render. And with that, we have to call state has changed. And now let's also add a little bit more. So first thing I want to add is a send method. Then a flag is connected, so maybe check the current state if the user is connected. And then also on dispose, we want to dispose the hub connection. So again, parts of that are from the Microsoft documentation, so please, if you want to know more, have a look there, or just ask a question in the comments section. Thank you for that. So the send message method, message method, it's hard. Async tasks, need more coffee, I guess. Send, and then here we say if our hub connection is not null, okay, then we say await hub connection, And the formatting works amazingly today. Oh, come on. Hub connection, send async. All right. And then we want, and this is again important, what we want to do is we want to call a specific method. And the method we want to call is called send message. Jesus Christ. Okay, so we do not actually call the send message method here in the client. As you can see, it's not called send message, right? It is called send async. And with that, we send information, let's say data, to our SignalR Hub. And this data should consist of the actual method then we want to call. And this thing is then send message. Now to make this more clear, maybe we can call this, I don't know, send add message to chat. Okay, so maybe this is a little bit better then. And now with that, regarding the messages and the username, we just add this stuff here, and then I want to reset the message so the user doesn't have to do this manually. So this is our send method. Jesus, this was complicated. And now the flag public bool is connected, is hub connection, almost, I want the field actually, so hub connection, state, come on, state equals hub connection, state connected. Okay, and now the last thing, public async value task. Again, I don't really think this is necessary here for this little tutorial, but let's do that anyways. If our hub connection is not null, then we say, first let's get a bit more room here, await hub connection, dispose async. Okay, so far what's going on here? Hub connection. Oh, sure. Yeah, okay, now this works, great. Okay, and with that, I think the first part of this code here is done, of the code block. And now let's switch to the HTML. So we've got the page route here. This is just a /. This is our index page. We've already injected the navigation manager, and that the async or the dispose stuff makes sense. We also have to implement an interface here, async disposable. All right, so this is everything regarding the injection here. The using directive, we move that to the imports razor, keep that in mind. And now first, maybe the title. This is our SignalR Chat. Also, we can give this thing a little header here, or a little title, SignalR Chat. Okay. And now what I want to do is I want to display an input field where a user can enter the username and a button to connect to the chat. This should only be displayed if the user is not connected. I think now the flag, the isConnected flag, makes more sense, right? And otherwise, if the user is connected, then we display the TextArea, an input field for the actual message, and also a button to send this message. And don't worry, we will also implement using enter to send a message. So I think this makes more sense then. So if again the user or the client is not connected, then we add a div with a class which is input group. This is from a Bootstrap 5 if you're wondering. So with this Blazor WebAssembly template here in Visual Studio, we also got Bootstrap 5. So, and now add our input, and we bind this to our username. And also let's add a class here. Class should be form control, so it looks a bit prettier. And yeah, maybe a placeholder. what's your name? All right. Okay. Then a button, also with the class. I closed this already, which is button again, Bootstrap 5 here, button primary. And also, to make this even more prettier, form control append, right? And if the user now clicks here, so on click, we call our connect method, and we also add the text connect. Okay, and this is now our screen if the client is not connected. And now here, first the text area for all our messages. Add a little inline CSS. I know we should not do that, but I don't care. So inline style width is 100, and let's set the height to 500 pixels. Width is 100%, not just 100 pixels, 100%. And what we'll do also in a minute is we will use an element reference here in the end. I can already tell you that we will do this because you will see when we test this chat app that the more messages we get, a scroll bar will appear in this text area, but this text area won't scroll to the bottom. But of course, we will fix that here in this tutorial. So please be patient and stay with me because we will do this in the end. This is the last thing we will do, but not now. Now we just add our messages here and we're done with the text area. Okay, and now another div for another input. So class input group, yep, that's correct. And now input bind value this time because we want to use enter here to send a message. Told you that, right? You paid attention, of course. So what we have to do here is for the event, we say on input. Okay. And with that event, then we also can listen to on key up and call another method we will write in a minute, handle input. Otherwise, I think the default event is on change, right? When we would just use bind like we did up here, then the event is on change, but we want to change that a little bit. So on input, we want to bind the change of this this value, and also on key up, then we want to call another method here. And we add again the form control class here, and this should be our input then. And the last thing that's missing is our button. So class button primary form group append. All right, let's close this maybe. And on click, we call our send method, and we can also, well, we can disable this thing if the user is not connected. So this should look like that. All right, this should be the HTML part. And now the last thing we have to add is, you see it here, the handle input method. So let's add it here maybe. Yeah, private async task handle input. And now here we can read the keyboard events. So keyboard event arguments, call this args. And if now the key is null or the key equals enter, then we call send. But I think this is not really necessary. I think this is some copy-paste stuff I got from my courses. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay, so the key is enter, and then we send, otherwise we use the button, then we send the message. And I think we can already test that. So let's save everything and start the app, and then let's see. Usually we have at least one error now, but let's see. So it's building, build succeeded, and I hope in a couple of not hours, please, we should see the chat. Yes, there it is on my other screen. And we really get an error. Jesus Christ. Okay, what's happening here? Failed to execute set attribute on element. Class button is not a valid attribute name. Okay. Why didn't you tell me? I think I should go live sometime, and then I will see this in a chat when you tell me, Patrick, Jesus, what are you doing, you idiot? Come on. Okay, and we have to restart this manually. I don't know why this is happening with Visual Studio. It worked, it already worked, but now with all the updates, it is not working anymore. Okay, we've got our Connect screen. Isn't that great? Let me still open the console here. Don't know, maybe something is happening. Can we open the console? Yeah, nice. So what is your name? Okay, it connects. There it is, user connected. Nice. This is sad. We do not see something here. Should add this, send, format this, save this. It's not rebuilding, right? Is it? Hard reload? Nope. Nothing. Restart. Let's see. Okay, again, Iron Man is connecting. Here the enter does not work, of course, because I was lazy. So now we... Hi. Anyone? Okay, this is a bit sad again. Maybe we can just open another window. Like this one. And let's put this here and here. Okay, so we've got Iron Man. Now let's also connect Spider-Man. We have to use the mouse. See that? User connected. There is another user. Don't know why this did not work. Now it does, I hope. Right? Okay. And now let's say hi. How are you? Great. Exclamation mark. Okay, so this seems to work, and Grammarly is telling me that this does not look correct. Okay, whatever. So this is nice, and this already works. In essence, this is the whole SignalR magic, but now I want to make this a little bit better. So if you know now everything you think that you wanted to know, and you learned everything, then please, you can give me maybe a thumbs up, maybe subscribe to my channel, and then you can stop the video. But if you want to see how we can also add the username to this status message, let's say, and also how to scroll to the bottom, because problem is we can hit enter a couple of times and you see there's the scroll bar, and if I say now hi again as Spider-Man, we do not see the message. This is not nice, I think, so maybe we should fix that. So back to Visual Studio. There it is. And now the first thing I want to do is let's add the username to our connect and disconnect message. Now the option you have with SignalR here is in our code, you see this thing here, to absolute URI. Okay, this is Blazor, but we see the endpoint we want to connect to, right? And here we can add query strings. All right, so what we can do is we add a question mark, and then for instance say my username now is the username I entered in the text field. So this should be username then, and that's it. That's it for the client. All right, so this is how you add data or send data to the SignalR Hub. Now back to the server. The only thing we get here, I mentioned that already in the beginning of this tutorial, and maybe you know this little question: what is the only information? Well, it's not the only information, but the information I mentioned at the beginning of this tutorial when we create the SignalR Hub. It's the connection ID. So this is everything that we can, or this is the thing we can use to identify a user. And it's not the total truth, because when we would use a real login system, let's say with authorization and roles and stuff, then we could add the authorized attribute here on top of the hub, and then we would have the currently authenticated user available. So for instance, check out my other tutorials, please, regarding JSON Web Tokens and using that in a web API. we've got a JSON Web Token, for instance, and in there we have some claims. And these claims could be the role, the username, the user ID, and so on. And then from there, we could use or take the username. But still, this is not SignalR, right? So this is then again other authentication stuff where we then could see, okay, this message was just sent by this certain user. But if you just want to use SignalR, so if we just say this is an old school chat, like in the old IRC times, maybe good times really, where you just enter a username without any credentials and then say, okay, I want to join this chat channel here, then you have no other information and no other option to do it like that. We have the connection ID and we want to store this connection ID with the username. But what we can do here, and I think this is the easiest option for the current session of this chat, we just add a dictionary, right? So private static dictionary. And if you think this is total BS, please tell me that in the comments as well. I'm sure it is, because I'm sure there are better ways to do this. But I think for this quick and dirty YouTube tutorial, it's the easiest and quickest way. So we've got a dictionary with 2 strings, right? So this is a hash map in essence. And now whenever a user connects, we just add the connection ID with the given username to this dictionary, and then when we get the disconnect event, we look the connection ID up in this dictionary, and then we know the username and the user that currently disconnected from the channel. So on connect, we have to add something to get the username. Now we say context get HTTP context. We got a request here then. And here we say query and then username. That's correct, IntelliCode. You are so intelligent. And now users add, and then not username. First, I want context and then connection ID. See, there it is. This is the thing I talked so much about. And now the username. And now in here, actually, let's use string empty here. It's a bit better. And here now we can say, and I love this, just say username, not connected, it's too boring, joined the party. Okay, now what is wrong here? The parenthesis. All right. So now with that, we can already see the username, but more interesting now really on disconnect, we want to also display the username. So public override async task on disconnected async. That's correct. We need an exception here. Okay. And now in here we say our username, let's get some space again, is users, and then first or default user, U for user, and then the key is context connection ID, and from that we want the value. Okay, so again, we look up the connection ID in the keys, because here this is the key, this is the value in the dictionary here, and from the result then we want the value, and this should be then the string, so the actual username. And then again we send a message. Oh wait, I renamed the method here, add message to chat, and this then is string empty again for the actual username. And here we add our username and then say left the party, something like that. Of course, again, there is room to improve that. For instance, instead of using the same method here, add message to chat, we could, I don't know, write another message method that is called add state message, add informational message, something like that. And this is just one message, so we don't have to use the string empty and then encode the message in the client and so on. But I think you get the idea for now. And yeah, this is how we get the username. I would say we test this again. So restart the application, open this chat and the other chat, and maybe we can just reload. So again, we've got Iron Man. See that? Iron Man joined the party. And then let's add Batman this time. Batman joined the party. Nice. And what happens now if I add a third one? Just want to see this here. So again, Spider-Man. Connect. Okay, we see Spider-Man here. And now let's pay attention here. I just closed the tab. Spider-Man left. Isn't that nice? This is great. I love this. This is really amazing. And there are so many possibilities now with SignalR, and it's so easy. How much time? 40 minutes maybe. 40 minutes, and we've already got this built. This works. This is amazing. And you can not only use that for chat, you can build your own game here. You can use it in an e-commerce application or a social network regarding notifications, for instance. Lots of stuff that you can use this with. Or use this for. What's the correct English? I don't know. Anyways, now the last thing I told you already. Now again, when we enter or send lots and lots of messages here, we see the scroll bar, and now we want to scroll to the bottom of the text area. So this we do next here, and then we're done with this tutorial. Sorry if this was a little bit confusing. I was a bit distracted by the construction side here, but still, next thing, the scroll to bottom. So in the text area, first we go to the client. Here's the index razor. And now what we want to use is an element reference, right? So we can do the following. We say, where's the text area? Here it is. We add something like this, add ref text area ref. And this is now an object we need in our code as well, of type element reference. So element reference, and we call this text area ref. And with that, now we can access the text area in our code block. And to do that, we could do that now already, but regarding scrolling to the bottom, this is something, and it's really sad that I have to tell you this, but this is something Blazor cannot do by its own. So we have to write JavaScript code. I know. So how do we do this? We need the JavaScript interop in essence, or the JS runtime. But first, let's write the method really quick. So we add the method in our, where is it? In the index HTML. So in here, see that we write our tiny little scroll to bottom method. So in here, in the header, we add another script block. Script type is text JavaScript, and now the function is called scroll to bottom maybe. And this is how you do how you can add your individual JavaScript code anytime. Of course, you can also add a JavaScript file and reference it here in the index HTML, and then you can use all the JavaScript you want. But let's keep this short and simple here. We need the text area. And with that text area now, we say text area, this one. Scroll top. So the position, the scroll position of the text area is the text area scroll height. Compile errors, yeah, that's okay. Just stop the app. So text area scroll top is text area scroll height. Looks a bit hacky, and well, that's JavaScript. What can I say? So with that, then we go back real quick to the index. Phew. Blazor again, nice. And in here now we inject the JS runtime. So inject JS runtime. Call this JS runtime. And now in our connect method here, whenever we get a new message, we scroll to the bottom. So JS runtime, and then in here we say invoke void async. It is void async. Do not use a wait here, but there's only the invoke void async method. And we call the method that is called scroll to bottom, double check. scroll to bottom, better copy and paste this. And then we give this thing what it wants. And in this case, this is our text area. So this is the element reference again at the semicolon here. And you see here, we just added this object. This is the argument, the parameter this method needs. All right, let's test this again. Okay, please excuse the edit. Sometimes I just jumped here because it's a bit hard to, I don't know why, because I have a couple of screens and sometimes it's hard to place the windows to the left and the right. But anyways, again, Iron Man wants to join. So connect, there it is, he is. Now let's say Wonder Woman wants to join as well. Hey there. What's up? Okay, I could do this the whole day, but now let's see. Iron Man says, what up? We see the scroll bar. Wonder Woman says nothing. See that? Grab some coffee. Sure. Nice. We scroll to the bottom. We can close this, and Wonder Woman has left. Okay, and here is this little blank we could also fix, but I think you get the idea. See that? Let's restart the app. Iron Man. And now this is fixed as well. Okay, awesome. The chat works. Now let's push this to GitHub real quick. Blazor Chat SignalR. This is not private, this is public for you guys. And you can now check out the video description for the code. And then you've got your own SignalR chat in Blazor WebAssembly. So that's it. I hope it was not too confusing in the beginning or maybe also in the end. And you did not hear the construction site sounds. I hope you learned a lot. If so, please like button and subscribing. That would be really, really nice. Don't forget the bell icon. Thank you so much for that. Again, check out the newsletter, please, if you want to get all the information regarding .NET 6 and Blazor that would, well, maybe make you a developer, then this might be something for you. But additionally, of course, there's also other stuff like the videos here. You get them earlier in your inbox then, and sometimes I also post some articles, so maybe this is something for you as well. And last but not least, thank you so much for all the coffee, guys, because with that, well, what can I say? I can turn the coffee into code and I am able to, well, get the time and stay awake when we already put our little boy to sleep. Yeah, that's that. So thanks again very much for watching, for your time, and I hope I see you next time. Take care.